All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And actually, quite funny. So I was looking at the RVP this morning, and Seba was like, I said good morning 3 times today. I think a little bit of Anthony's rubbing off on me. And I was totally flattered. Like, what a compliment, right? So, welcome. I hope everyone is super fine and dandy. What a weekend. And please forgive my face. I feel like I look like a caveman because I don't do anything other than this. So I believe after this, no, I have a lot. At some point today, I'm going to like groom myself so that tomorrow we could all be a little proud that the face of this actually, grooms himself, right? So welcome, welcome, welcome. First, I'd like to apologize about Saturday. I did explain it on the video, so I won't go too far, but it is certainly worth pointing and noting. The webinar schedule in Zoom is not allowed to be indefinite, so you have to put a final date for your recurrings. And Zoom, I think the furthest it lets you go out is 50 occurrences. So by the time the 50th one comes, you don't exactly remember that, oh, okay, 48, 49, all right, I need to now elongate it another 50. And Zoom does not, hey, by the way, this is your last one. So unfortunately, you don't actually know you don't have a webinar till you don't have a webinar. So that was Saturday. Ooh, excuse me. Let's see, what else do we have? So we did touch on Saturday that there's a lot of RHINO, a lot of registration we need to, not registration, right? But a lot of the websites that one could do research and look up RHINO bucks know nothing about us. In fact, all they know of us is the metrics, right? They're like 1 month old, they're in this many wallets, they have this much liquidity, blah, blah, blah. And just by default, when you have a certain amount of, oh, you've only been around a certain period of time, they just kind of don't look at you fondly. So a lot of these sites, when you go look at do research, some of them, and it was brought to my attention, say rug pull. And if you can imagine the visual of pulling a rug from underneath people and they all jump and hit the ground and say what happened, it's not a good connotation. It's not an endorsement for you. In fact, it's the opposite. So what we touched on Saturday was we need to do a better job in doing research on ourselves, finding which content networks have something poor to say, introduce ourselves to them like, hey, you don't know us, you obviously don't endorse us, which is cool, but can we go ahead and share with you who we are so that you can at least give a well-founded point of view of us. And I believe if we can do that, we make the research process for anyone looking at RHINO a little bit more pleasant, right? So that is on this week as well. We have a lot this week, actually. In fact, this has been one of those weekends that I've kind of, well, I guess you could see it, right? I haven't shaved. I've just been agonizing. And it's a good agonization, right? Anthony, what's a good agonization? Well, let me tell you. When things are going well, I get nervous. It's almost like the light at the end of the tunnel might be the train coming at you, or the shadow under your feet might be the anvil over your head. Whether it's nature or nurture, I don't accept complacency. I just naturally don't accept when things are going good, which could, and again, that's not a sentence that's supposed to be celebrated without a little bit of context, right? Because if you don't accept things being good, you're constantly going to be the reason that they don't go good, right? Like you're the reason they don't, in which case early Anthony might have been able to exhibit those traits, right? Like I might be able to represent what that looks like when something's going good and I become reckless and mess it up. But there is a corollary to that when things are going good, you're also complacent. You're also kind of blind to looking around the corner, and that does need to be solved. When things are going good, you just believe it's going to continue going good. And that's something that whether nature or nurture, I will never allow. Point being, because things are going so good, I'm agonizing of like, what are we missing, right? Like what can bring us to where we need to go? Because on one hand, yes, membership numbers go up every day. And that's really cool. And it's not, when our numbers go up, it's not the same as other people's numbers going up. And what I mean by that is our numbers represent somebody that's willing to go ahead and put their banking information on file and accept recurring payments and investments every single week for a coin that they then need to get a wallet address and have delivered to them in the midst of us still building all of this stuff. That's a commitment. That's like a really big commitment. That's not a membership number of like, oh, I joined the newsletter, or, you know, I accepted the free program. No, these are people that have opted into paying, or I keep saying paying, I don't like to say, investing reoccurringly going forward. We're not Apple. It's not that someone's getting an iPhone. We are, right? Like, I want to be as literal as possible. We are an idea. Like, we have a lot of the components with it, but if the idea is not a good idea, or we don't follow through with the idea, or we don't achieve success of the idea, everything today is for naught, right? Like, RHINO cannot be successful if everything is premised on the idea that people need a new way to brush their teeth. Because that might make sense to us, but if people ultimately don't need a new way to brush their teeth, well, the whole value of your company is zero because you were based on a premise that was unsuccessful, that was not needed. Now, I don't think that's the case with us, but the point being, I'm also completely biased. I believe that our flagellants smell like roses, right? Like, that's who we are, and that's who we're going to be. But everyone that joins is not me. Everyone that joins has to make that opinion for themselves. Which, when we go ahead and cite that numbers are moving higher, not only does that capture that people are thinking that for themselves, but they're expressing it by taking on the risk of moving their banking information to go ahead and to pick a plan that's reoccurring every single week. So every single week, they're constantly reminded, oh, I'm part of RHINO. Is that something I still believe in? Because there is no obligation. You could opt out anytime you want, right? Robbie, I hope it didn't freeze. Oh, actually, Robbie, so I emailed you this morning. V has been emailing me messaging me on Slack. Anthony, Robbie's not getting the emails, not getting the emails, not getting the emails. And today I thought I solved it, and today I just tried to solve it again. So I just want you to know that that message is getting to me, and I apologize. We're going to get it sorted, but you could not find a better messenger than V, because she really does remind me all day, and that's a complete credit to her. But getting back to RHINO for the moment, but I do also know so I know the difference between numbers not going up, numbers going down, and numbers going up, right? Numbers going up is good. I do then also know the degree in which numbers go up is also good or good, right? Like you could have numbers going up and it's like, okay, great. That's fine. But it doesn't, when numbers move up, there's a whole bunch of different reasons for it. Now, granted, because we're a platform that is live every single day, we can comfortably assume that the reason the numbers are going up is because the value proposition that is RHINO. Like, it is conceivable to say, okay, since you're live every single day, since you send an email every single day, and since it's going to everyone exactly the same, anyone joining is now agreeing with the message. Perfect, right? But is that true? Right? Like, how do we know that's true? Could it also be true that you're getting these signups because there are people that just like you, right? Like, there's people that have the hots for you, right? There's people that like you. There's people that just luckily came across and decided they wanted to do something. How would you know if one is true and the other is not, right? Like, how would you know the difference? And this is the part that agonized me this week. If the reason that our numbers were moving up were because RHINO was such an obvious value proposition, I believe the numbers would go up by more than one a day. We have on average about 7,500 to 8,000 email opens per day. We have 335 RHINOs. There is about 7,000 that see our emails every single day, continue opening it, but have not taken action. And that goes to the point of what RVP has done for RHINO. because RVP is such an accountable group where you have amazing professionals with amazing resumes that are the head of an entire region that are now saying and speaking in marketing language to me, Anthony, I need this. Where do people go after this? I don't actually understand this. This doesn't make sense. And I think that's the divergence where we start getting the answer, where when you get 1 or 2 ads per day, well, people really like you, Anthony, like they believe in you. But for me to go ahead and have the same success, since I'm not you, and that could be good or bad, right? Like no one's saying anyone's better than anyone. But if people are joining RHINO because they love Anthony, well, then how can I, not Anthony, have people join RHINO? Well, it has to be the content, right? It needs to be clear. Okay, by joining, this is what you're going to get. This is where you go. And this is what your next steps look like. Well, unfortunately, because Anthony is Anthony, Anthony never had to actually, Anthony never had the fire that he had to accomplish that right away, because Anthony always woke up as Anthony. Anthony was always able to have success because he was Anthony. But to go ahead and grow it past Anthony, we need to go ahead and become far more simplified, far more clear. And the point of what RVP is doing is the fact that I can't actually host RVP and not have a solution for knowing these are the problems, these are the challenges that they're sharing with me. Which means I have to then, okay, these are the challenges. How do we solve it? Got to solve it. And I have to deliver it because we have a group of the most amazing professionals that are looking to then pump it out to their regions. That being said, what I've agonized all weekend about is how to make this clear. And that is what we're working on right now. Because it's actually quite embarrassing. If someone said to me, hey, Ant, what's RHINO? It's an idea, it's a brand new economy, but you know what it is? It's a localized search engine that has a digital economy wrapped around it if you want to opt into it. Like that's what it is. It's a localized search engine that has no marketing, no data retention for the first time ever. And if you'd like to continue, they have a digitalized economy that you could participate in, right? So JP, the solution to globalism and things like that, I promise you, I've tried so long and I come up with this like financial revolution and blah, blah, blah. And these are all marketing terms that make a lot of sense to us. And maybe, and you know what, honestly, maybe I'm just jumping maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe if you go up to someone and say, this is a solution to globalism, they'll say, oh, great, like, let me get in. But I find to go ahead and filter it down to the easiest, simplest message, what's RHINO Street? They're the first ever localized search engine that has no marketing, no ads, and no data retention. It's just you and your 20 miles. And they have this amazing digital economy built around it that you could certainly learn more, but everyone's doing really well. Okay, cool. Like we're getting somewhere. That makes sense to me. Now, when the individual says, okay, I'd like to join, how do they join? Okay, Ant, that sounds great. Let me join. I don't know. Yeah, go to RHINO Street in the top left portion. There's a join button, click join, and there you are. Okay, well, I want to list my business. How do I do that? Well, you have to join and then you get the email for list your business. Well, but I don't know if I got the email. I didn't check spam. And it just goes down this process that like, it's a real pain in the butt. And then for our individuals that are a part of RVP, well, when they send this to somebody, how do they know that the person joined? And it's not so much for credit or reward, it's to know, okay, well, I'm doing good because look at my numbers. Let me take what I'm doing and share it with everyone so everyone can learn about how I'm having success so they can replicate it. Okay, well, now that they're in RHINO Street, remember this digital economy thing you were talking about? Where do they find that? Well, I don't know. I guess I could go to RHINO Retirement and there's a video there. Yeah, it's a 1-minute video of you talking about Dogecoin. Do you have anything else? Is there a better video? I don't. But why? But Ant, do you see the problem? You had to then send them off site to another site. Like, why isn't it somewhere in a welcome email? Like that sounds like a good idea. It does. So the point being, all of this stuff that I'm speaking out loud that sounds like Ant, duh. There's 2 parts to it. And it's actually good, right? And it's not me just putting makeup on something, but it is good. Because everything that I'm saying sounds so obvious, it's really, really easy to poke fun. And I don't mean poke fun, but like, hey, Ant, ha ha, how could you not know this, right? Well, the answer to that question is actually the pot of gold. I did not need to know this because despite all of it, despite us doing everything incorrectly in terms of marketing and ease and whatnot, we've continued growing, and not growth in terms of eyeballs, but growth in terms of people connecting their bank accounts and opting into investing every single week. That's the answer. Well, when you take that answer, it's like, whoa, wait a second. He's actually saying something that we could, like that kid is the best basketball player in the world, but he never knew he could shoot with two hands. That's called an opportunity. That's not called, oh, look at what a dodo that kid is, because now the kid knows he could use two hands. And guess what? If he was the best basketball player before, he's going to be super duper duper now. So I do want to go ahead and share with you that is what this week is going to look like. I'm hosting RVP today at 2 o'clock, which actually is when the American World Cup is. So I'm just kidding. RHINO is number one, but I will be watching the American World Cup quickly thereafter, right? And hosting RHINO again Friday, 2 o'clock, which means today we're going to come together and share what that looks like. Let's take a look at what the funnel should look like, what the website should look like. And again, this isn't me telling you to do the work, but I want your ideas because now we're going to create it and I want to be able to show it and present it Friday so that we can actionably move forward. What that means for RHINO, though, is if we're able to go ahead and build it in the likeness of the RVPs who are regional vice presidents so that they can share it, you know what that means for every individual RHINO? You now have something that A, is going to become even more popular, B, you have something that's far more easier to share, and C, all of the performance, like the coin value, the money coming in, all of that stuff that we spoke of is now being taken from the hands of solely Anthony, who is born and wakes up as Anthony every day, into the hands of those that are professionals and knowing how to market. And it's in their best interest because they're the ones being compensated in the coin. So everyone wants the value to go higher. That's RVP. And when I went ahead and put together RVP, it wasn't because I wanted a team that listens to me. It's because I knew I needed a team to listen to. So I love everyone. I will see you later. And RVP, I'm super excited for you today at 2 o'clock. Bye, guys.